The opinions expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of Salem Communications, staff, management, or advertisers. Activist Radio is on the air. You have tuned into the Mark Harrington Show, sponsored by Created Equal. Mark is training a new generation of leaders to take on the culture of death and win.
All right!
If you don't like abortion, don't have one.
The only thing that can be said to be objective truth is that there is no objective truth.
It does come out in one piece. It comes out in one piece.
I would argue that we certainly are not all created equal.
And now, here's Mark.
Romans chapter 1, verses 24 through 30 say this. Therefore God gave them over in their sinful desires of their hearts to sexual impurity and degrading of their bodies with one another. And they exchanged the truth about God for a lie. And they worshipped and served created things rather than the Creator. And it goes on further to say that God also gave them over to a depraved mind, so they do not do what they ought to. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, depravity. They're full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, malice. They are gossips, and he goes on. And what we're seeing today in some circles is this very thing, God giving us over to a depraved mind. Giving us over to shameful lusts. And I don't think this could be exemplified any better than what happened this week when a young woman named Emily Letts videotaped her abortion. Emily Letts, apparently a counselor at an abortion clinic, was pregnant and then taped her abortion. Now, I don't know if you've seen this, and maybe you don't want to, frankly. I mean, it's pretty disgusting, graphic, disturbing, all of those things. But this is the day in which we live, where God is turning us over to a depraved mind. But it is a teachable moment, and here's why I think it's important we discuss it today on the Mark Harrington Show. And that is that it brings out a number of issues that relates to our culture, our church, Christianity, and the abortion issue. So what I'd like to do is take a minute here, and we're going to play a clip of this video, the audio of the video that was on YouTube by Emily Letts. And this is the audio of her recording or videoing her abortion.
I am a patient advocate at the Cherry Hill Women's Center.
I talk with women before their abortion procedures.
I found out that I am pregnant. Hey, I'm pregnant. And so I'm pretty early. I'm not ready to have children. Yeah, I'm going to be having an abortion tomorrow morning.
What I need you to do is raise up the back of your gown.
Okay.
Now let's see what did he at the table.
Okay. I'm lucky because I feel completely like comfortable with the decision. I'm supported by everyone.
I'll be by your side the whole time doing the procedure. From your hand to hold. I'll be here.
I just want to share my story. To show women that there is such thing as a positive abortion story.
I got a lot of hands.
We're just going to wipe off and clean you. Great, you're a little trooper there.
Oh my god, you guys are my heroes. Yeah, cool. Feels good. I'm done! Yay!
Ready?
Yeah.
All right, we got it.
It is about a month and a half after the procedure now. I feel like I talk to women all the time and they're like, of course everyone feels bad about this. Of course everyone's going to feel guilty, as if it's a given how people should feel about this, that what they're doing is wrong. I don't feel like a bad person. I don't feel sad. I feel in awe of the fact that I can make a baby. I can make a life. I knew that what I was going to do was right, because it was right for me and no one else. I just want to share my story.
Well, there you go. I don't know about you, but as you listen to that, you can feel nothing but sadness for this young lady, Emily Latz. And if you watch the video, you can tell this isn't a positive story. This is a sad event that she tries to put the best face on. But there's several instructive things, I think, that we can learn from this. Not only is our culture to the point that everything's personal and everything can be, or I'm sorry, everything's public and not personal. That we live in an age where it's the age of the selfie, it's Facebook, it's your iPhone. We basically categorize and capture every moment of our lives in detail, like a documentary. We post it on the internet, on Facebook. So it's not surprising that people would do this kind of thing in order to get some publicity. And I'm not saying that's exactly why she did this, but certainly this video has gone viral. This is nothing other than a snuff film, really. But the interesting thing about this is she doesn't show her abortion. It's her abortion video without the abortion. You see, they don't actually show the baby being dismembered and decapitated and disemboweled. Now that would be something worth actually showing people. They just show her from the waist up, describing or just sitting there going through this procedure. And some of the things that she said, I think, are very instructive. First of all, she says she found out she was pregnant. Now, you don't just happen to get pregnant. Something happens before you get pregnant, and that is you have unprotected sex, what we call fornication or promiscuity. You don't wake up someday and just say, oh, I'm pregnant today. So here's a woman who is engaged in what we call casual sex. And of course, that isn't taboo anymore. That's not a story. Very few people have even mentioned that as being the problem, but that is the problem. You don't just find out you're pregnant. It was because of her lifestyle that led her to the place that she was in, and there's no remorse or discussion about why that's wrong. Now, the other thing is she laughs during this video. Now, that might be a way of coping with the severity of what she's about to do, and we know that often we do laugh when we feel uncomfortable about something, but this isn't anything to laugh about. What's missing in this video is the actual baby who died during the filming. That's not even mentioned on the TV news or any of the reports that I've seen. It's all about her. She talks about it being a positive abortion story. I mean, sorry. There's no such thing. There's just no such thing. She can say it's positive, but it's not, and we all know it. We all know it. There's nothing positive about abortion. For the baby, they're killed. For the woman, they're harmed, both physically and emotionally. She says she's lucky because she's supported. Supported in doing what? Murdering her child? How is that being lucky? If anything, she should have people around her saying the right thing to do is to not kill your baby, to own up to your responsibility to that child now that you've made a mistake, and parent that child or find an adoptive family. That's what being lucky would be, really. That's what would be being supported by your family and friends. That's what that would look like. And then when it's all over, she said it was cool. It was cool and it felt good. Well, we all know there's nothing cool about abortion, and it doesn't feel good. It's violence towards a woman's body. And then she finally says at the end that she doesn't consider herself a bad person and that she can make a baby. So she recognizes exactly what this entity was or is inside her womb. She said it wasn't sad. It was right for me. And there we go. Isn't that the common thinking today? That morality, right or wrong, is relative. That nothing is wrong or nothing's right. Nothing's immoral. It's just right or wrong for me. Well, I can tell you this. It wasn't right for that baby who died during the filming of this abortion. Now, maybe I'm giving this too much attention, but I think it's hugely instructive to us as a culture. We are now trying to convince people that abortion is a positive thing, that it's cool, that it can feel good, that you're lucky if you find people that support you to have your abortion, and that it's right for me or whoever. There's no right or wrong. There's no absolute truth. That's what's being taught in this video. Now, furthermore, abortion, as we all know, is really just a symptom. It's a symptom of the bigger problem, and that is, long ago and far away, we accepted the idea that sex outside of holy matrimony, outside of marriage, was permissible, that promiscuity was okay, that fornication was acceptable. And our culture is way down the road now on that. We don't even discuss that anymore. But abortion is the symptom of a culture that has accepted the idea that casual sex, that sex for recreation purposes only, is okay. It's good. Also, that we live in a culture where morality is relative, and it's really up to the individual. This is a low point, folks. I mean, I think we're seeing things like this in our culture, where we've reached a point where we are now flaunting our sin before an almighty God, a just God. As a nation, we are now basically saying, in your face. It's in your face, the American people. It's thumbing our nose at God Almighty and saying, listen, we're going to publicize this stuff. We're going to flaunt it. We're going to make a big deal out of it. We're going to make it look good and acceptable and positive. And I think that's a turning. That's a crossing over of a line, if you will, or a Rubicon to where we cannot return, possibly. That's my worry and my concern as a culture. You might say, well, this woman was just kind of a lunatic. She might be a whack job. She's an outlier. Well, maybe. But we hear this from the pro-abortion side, that abortion is good for women, that abortion solves your problems. All you have to do is have the abortion. You can go on with your life. That's the message that we hear from the other side. And that's the message we're hearing from this video. On the other side, I'll comment a little more about this, and then I want to talk about the solution. Not to videos like this from a woman like Emily Letts, but how do we as Christians, how do we as the church, how do we as activists who are concerned about the direction of our culture make a difference? You're listening to The Mark Harrington Show, your voice of resistance. Go to createdequal.net to learn more about us. We'll be right back.
What do other pro-life leaders think of Mark Harrington and Created Equal? Listen to Scott Klusendorf of Life Training Institute.
Created Equal is about changing this culture, and that's what we have to do if we are going to win this fight. And Mark and Seth and the others on the team of Created Equal are doing just that. And I am happy to endorse their work. Glad to call them fellow companions in this fight for the life of the unborn. And I certainly hope you will support and work with them as they work on reforming this culture so that it has an appreciation for human life.
Mark Harrington is a missionary and free speech advocate, and Mark has been on the front line of the debate over abortion for over 20 years. Mark needs your prayers and financial support. Please support Mark and Created Equal by going to createdequal.net or send a check to Created Equal, Post Office Box 360502, Columbus, Ohio 43230. Your gifts are tax deductible.
That's right, on Radioactive. Mark Harrington here, your voice of resistance on WRFD.com. We're talking about this video, this snuff video, if you will, by Emily Letts, a counselor, so-called, at Cherry Hill Abortion Clinic in New Jersey, in which she got pregnant and then showed the abortion online, except for the fact she really didn't, because the baby wasn't shown. That would have been news. Basically just talking about how this was positive, how it was cool, she felt good about it, and it was right for her. See, although this seems extreme, the fact that she videotaped this, that's a little bit odd, and clearly shows a culture that we're living in now, a depraved culture. But the truth of the matter is, this is the way the abortion industry tries to frame the question of women having abortions. And so there are women throughout America and the world who think that their abortions were a good thing. And it's important that we understand how to address that. First of all, let me say that there are a couple ways to address the abortion issue. You have the what we would call the service side of the issue, the ministry side, if you will. That is the crisis resource centers, the pregnancy resource centers, who focus on the women rightly and try to persuade them not to abort based on appealing to their best interests, which is all fine. The problem with doing that solely and only presenting the abortion issue in that context is that you'll have Emily Lettses around there who will say, no, my abortion was the best thing that happened to me. And I've met people like that. For as many people who will say, I regret my abortion, you'll probably have as many young women or women who will say, I'm glad I had my abortion. So that's a debate that I don't think we can win. And if we center our argument solely on the fact that we believe abortion harms women, that's a losing proposition. We have to couple that with the idea that abortion is an act of violence that kills a baby. And the reason why it harms women is because it kills their baby. That's why it harms the women. That's the only reason. We cannot lose sight of the fact of the moral question of whether abortion is right or wrong, whether it kills a preborn child or not, whether it's murder or not, or whether it's killing or not. And that's what we do at Created Equal. We go on campuses with our justice rides, and we meet the Emily Lettses of the world, the women out there who are contemplating abortion, who might think it's a good idea, that it's a positive thing, that it might be good for them. We meet them all the time on college campuses, and we're going to be launching our next justice ride in July. And so what I'd like to do, I'm going to play a video clip of the promo video. This is all, play the audio, of the promo video of our Justice Ride coming up in July. Here it is.
I said, sir, what do you think about abortion? And he said, I never really had an opinion before, but just walking by and seeing these images has changed my mind.
And she said, I'm 8 weeks pregnant, and I heard the heartbeat and everything, but this picture changed my mind.
At the end, he said, wow, I didn't realize how graphic this was, and, you've really made me completely pro-life.
She said, after seeing your images, I couldn't imagine doing this to my own child. This Justice Ride is my first one. I gained a lot of confidence talking to people because I went to a lot of pro-life camps before this, and I learned how to, but I never practiced it.
Once they realize that it's a human being and you can see that click in their eyes, you know that you've gotten them to think.
Surprisingly enough, there's a lot of people that have never seen an aborted baby before, and to me that's quite shocking.
I didn't really know what to expect coming out here, but friendships I've made and being on the team has been really great.
The members of the Justice Ride are some of the nicest people I've ever met. I'll always remember these people. when people have the same values and support the same things, it's an instant connection. Although Martin Luther King was pivotal in ending segregation, he wasn't alone.
I've never really had very many conversations with people that are pro-choice, but now I really realize when you do outreach and when you go out, how you can really change their heart and you can change their minds, and how much of an impact you could have, you know, how many lives you could actually save from having these conversations with people.
Sign up is such a great experience.
It was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had.
This is something that I'll never forget.
Come on the next Justice Ride.
Make a significant difference.
Just an absolute awesome opportunity.
The best weeks of my life. Awesome. It's amazing.
If you want to learn how to defend the preborn, come on the next Justice Ride.
Join us.
Be there.
Join the Justice Ride!
So I want to speak to you parents out there with young people. If you want to get your kids prepared to enter into the world and make a difference for Jesus Christ, there's nothing better than the Justice Ride. I've had pastors tell me that every youth group in America ought to be doing this. Here's why. The Justice Ride isn't classroom training, although that's important. We spend time in the classroom, we provide classroom training, but then we give them real field experience. We teach them and we take them out. We teach them and we take them out. And we do it over again and again, over and over. That's the program. That's our ministry model. Because students learn on the job. They learn when they're asked a question that they don't know the answer to. And they might not answer it perfectly. And they go back and they try to figure it out. And then they return and they're better off than they were before. We go to college campuses and we put these young people who are trained to defend the abortion issue and the gospel of Jesus Christ, and we put them in front of people that disagree with them. What better way to train your young person, your child, your 16-year-old, your 18-year-old, your college student, to make a difference for Christ? If you want to start getting them involved, give us a call. Go to createdequal.net. We are accepting applications for our summer Justice Ride, which will begin on July 12th. So you can go to our website at createdequal.net, or you can give us a call and ask for a application to go on the Justice Ride. And this year, we're actually going to be following the Freedom Ride, the trail that the Freedom Rides went on. We'll be going from Atlanta to Birmingham, Alabama, to Jackson, Mississippi, and then to Nashville, Tennessee, in a bus for a week. And we'll be training them on the road, on the job, and then taking them out into these major cities and allow them to defend what they've been taught. There is no better way to get your kids ready for what they're going to face at university, or face in a job, or face out in the world, than to allow us to have them for a week. We will definitely make a difference. They often come back and say, my life has changed. Ian, he's the president of Salina High School Students for Life, said this, quote, I now know that there's nothing else that I could do with my life. He wants to be in the pro-life movement. Riley said, I want to live a purpose-driven life. I'm motivated by knowing that I can help some innocent human life, help save some innocent human life. Over and over again, we get these testimonies. This is from Jade. I've always been pro-life, but I've never felt so prepared to defend my beliefs, and I'm thankful for the Justice Ride. I want to have a part in ending abortion, and you have made this dream of mine begin. I'm already continuing the work. I hope to one day be a pro-life leader. See, folks, it's about raising up the next generation of leaders to take on the culture of death and win. It's about raising up the next generation to meet the Emily Letzes of the world on college campuses and in our cities, and being able to persuade them that abortion is not cool, that it's not a positive experience, that it's not good for them. That's what we do at Created Equal. If you're interested in the Justice Ride, go to createdequal.net, fill out an application, or give us a call at our office. We'll be back next week. You've been listening to the Voice to Resistance, the Mark Harrington Show. God bless you. God bless America. And remember, America, to bless God.
You've been listening to Mark Harrington, your radio activist, sponsored by Created Equal. For more